video is going to be on stitch lengths. A lot of people's got sewing machines and they don't understand stitch lengths on the sewing machine a lot. If you've got a machine that's got the turn style with no numbers and you don't know how many stitches you're doing and how many you should be doing, I'm going to show you how to tell how to run one of these machines. It also applies for the newer machines that's got the stitch length on them. So if you're running these, your knob that's turned all the way in is going to be the highest stitch length. It should start out around 6 stitches per inch is where it should start at, but some of them may be a little bit off and you may be getting more stitches. They generally start around 6 stitches per inch, but we're going to show you how to tell the difference in it. So if you're trying to figure out how to use one of these, or you're trying to use one that's got the numbers, so if you're going to come over here, whatever you're sewing, and you're going to come in here and you're going to count your stitches per inch. All you're going to want to do is put your ruler in, then your 1 inch mark's going to be here. So from here to here, you've got 10 stitches per inch on this one. And how to know how many stitches you should be doing on whatever you're working on is you go by the largest pattern that you're working on that's in the print. The largest pattern here is right around 3.5. So anything under 4 inches, you're going to want to go around 10 stitches per inch. Anything above 4, you're going to increase your stitch length. So you're going to want anything under 3, 3.5, 4, you're going to want to get around the 10 stitches per inch. And anything above that, you're going to increase your stitch length. So that's how I always tell what I'm doing when I need to sew something. So any part of your main part of your pattern, you're going to be able to tell by measuring it. The smaller the pattern, the smaller the stitch, but generally you don't want to go any smaller than 10 stitches per inch. So I'm going to show you, this is a 10 stitch per inch here, and this is 8 stitch per inch. So you can tell the difference between them. You can tell the 8 stitch per inch is a little bit too large. The 10 stitch per inch is going to be more suitable for the pattern, the size of it. So you got to go by that. That's how you know what your stitch length is going to be. The more it increases, the more you're going to want to increase. So about every inch you want to go up another inch on your stitch length. That's how I usually do it, and that's how you determine what stitches you need to do for what type of work you're doing. So if you've got one that's got a dial that tells the numbers, you can easily dial it in. But if you're working with a machine that's got a turn knob with no numbers, you're going to have to get you a scrap piece of fabric and sew a line, count the stitches per inch. That way you'll know exactly what you're stitching with this. Normally they'll start out at 6 stitches per inch, but they could be much larger depending on how your machine's adjusted. So you'll have to turn this knob. You can also use a piece of paper with no thread and just punch holes in a piece of paper and then count it per inch and do it that way. But you're going to have to count them in to however many you need, and then put it on your patterns that you're stitching or whatever you're putting together. And this is how you accurately get the right stitch length for the pattern that you're working on, the size of the piece that you're sewing. So it can be a little bit tricky sometimes, but that's the trick to using one with no numbers. But it also applies to the ones with numbers. You can do it the same way. You also can determine what you're needing to use by the size of the pattern that you're sewing. So maybe this helps somebody understand how to use one of these old style knobs.